Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
That is a song called The Snake Song by Harry Hook, or Harry Hook is Real, depending upon how you want to present him. Who was the other singer, Robert?
Neil, I listened very intently to that song, very, very closely indeed, and I reckon that voice in the background is Casey Chambers. And do you know how I know that?
How do you know that?
Because it's written down here on a piece of paper in front of me.
Normally I don't.
No, but I already knew, but when you listen to it, she has a very unique, and you can hear it.
You can indeed. Well, at 20 minutes past 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, we are very pleased to welcome on board the Two Blokes Chatting radio show train, Harry Hook. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning, lads. Thanks for having me on.
No problems at all. This is Neil. The other one's Rob. First of all, congratulations on the song. Tell us a bit about your musical career. How did you get started in country music?
Well, I grew up in the country, in regional Victoria, in Gippsland, a little town called Cowra. And
with two W's? Or was it two A's?
Two W's, two R's.
There you go. And it's a weird spelling. Anyway, back to you.
It is. I grew up on a beef farm out there, and wasn't that into country music as a kid, but I went to uni and I studied law and kind of got involved in that sort of world. And everything was so complicated. The languages were so confusing. I kind of got drawn to the simple kind of writing in country music. I love the way that it's about telling a story simply so it can be understood easily.
And you've done it pretty well. Iconic. When I suppose a lot of international people think about Australia, they think about snakes coming to get them. And having grown up on a farm myself, Harry, it was always a fear to get through. But yeah, to put it into a funny context like that, it's a serious tune. It's serious lyrics. It sounds very good, but you're having a little bit of a chuckle at the same time at the Australiana of it.
That's it. I always found backpacking overseas or anything, you've got to have a story about a shark and you've got to have a story about a snake up your sleeve.
So do you do you experiment with other stuff? Musical tastes, are they far and wide?
Yeah. I like all kinds. I like blues. I like rock and roll. Muck around with. Actually, my last album had a little bit of hip hop inspired beats and things. But this one, the album that I'm working towards coming out June 3, it's really going back old school. I love that movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, yeah, one of my favourites.
Yeah, so I was really inspired by that, the sound of that album. I want to go back in time a bit.
Well, we've just made an offer to Tams, and it sounds like we're right for June 3rd. Rob, we've got a guest to talk to on that day as well to promote the album. Harry, the Harry Hook is Real bit. Talk us through that, because clearly your surname is not hyphenated, is real.
Yeah, well, it all came about, I used to release music as Harry Hooky, and that's my first name. But I got married in COVID to a woman named Mim Cook. Who
was a guest on this program 3 weeks ago.
That's it, yeah. So Mim, we both didn't want anyone to take the other's name, so we had Hooky and we had Cook, and we decided to combine them. So it was either going to be Chook or it would be Hook.
Or Cookie.
Cookie, that's right. But no, we thought Hook, it's got a bit of pirate to it,
Well, it's a great idea, and I think you have done Australia a favour, because we had a segment on here a month ago about the problem that is caused with hyphenated names, and if you'd have gone down the Cook Hooky path and then their kids had something and then you've got all these four-named families going around, you have solved the problem. Just combine one, come up with something completely new you're both happy with. I hope this catches on, Harry.
Yeah, you got to streamline things.
Visit blendednames.com.au at some stage when you've got 5 minutes and you'll understand what we're talking about. So I'm fascinated by young folk who end up in country music, because the dominant, peer pressure stuff that would have been going through high school would be country music's a bit daggy, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, Yeah, it still is. Like, I tell my friends, or meet new people, I say I make country music, and they're like, country music? What? You're a young guy, what's doing that? But, I don't know, there's something about the storytelling in country music that's always spoken to me, and I've never been one for following the trends. While everyone else was listening to, like, the top 40 stuff, I was into, like, Bob Dylan and Neil Young and people like that. So,
there's a word for people like you, normal. Intelligent.
Yeah.
It's the kind of music we play on this radio station when we're not playing songs about snakes, Harry.
Good stuff.
Now, Harry, I reckon a lot of budding Australian artists would have sought out Casey Chambers, rang her up and said, hey, Casey, would you come and sing on my album, my first one I've ever made? I know you'd never heard of me, but I really like you. She would have knocked back 99 out of every 100. Why did she come and sing with you?
Well, I've known Casey for years. I was in a touring band for a while, and I've written songs with her before. And, in fact, we were an item at one point.
Oh, well, geez, I'm sorry. I've tiptoed into some dangerous area here.
So I'm glad she still answers my calls.
That's the trouble when you do no research for an interview. Sometimes you go into funny places, but thank you for that.
No worries at all. No, so we're still good friends, and I just knew writing this song that it has that old Appalachian folk sound, and Casey's voice is just tailor-made for that.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Oh.
I'm just really concerned that had that gone down a different path, your surname now might be Hookers.
Probably for the best.
Now, last week there wasn't much going on in your life. On a Saturday afternoon in Warragul, I understand, our very good friends Janine and Eric from No Promises and you won a very impressive competition and ended up with a support act called Lee Kerning, another support act called Troy Casadati. That's a pretty good get.
Yeah, it was great. The Gippsland Country Music Festival. There was 5,000 people there. It was packed to the brim. Real country music fans. So when we say, young people aren't into country music, I tell you what, there were a lot of young people there that day who just absolutely loved the stuff. It was a great audience, great crowd, great vibe, and hope to do many more.
My understanding was there was a big crowd walkout around about 1:30 after you and No Promises had finished. They said, well, no point sticking around for the rest. Is that true?
Exodus.
That's what Janine told me.
Harry, the country music is a broad thing anyway, so you can probably fit into the genre and still be very listenable. I think gone are the days where you write stories about your dog dying and your wife leaving and your tractor breaking down. Those days are well gone. There's a lot of sort of bluegrassy, even rock touch on the country music, but I think the important part is the message in the song, the story in the song. The snake thing is a bit quirky, so that's going to catch attention. But when you are writing, are you writing about lived experiences in your songs?
Yeah, I write a lot about my life. It's the old joke that songwriting is free therapy. Pay you for your therapy session or whatever. But I write a lot about myself. A lot, but actually these days I'm sort of writing about things I observe in the world, and I think there's nothing that you can't broach with a country music song. Like, there's no topic that's out of genre. Like, I've written songs about the footy on this new album. I've got a song about a FIFO worker who comes home to his family, and all sorts of things. I sung about the beginning of time, like the Big Bang and
cocaine hippos, that sort of thing.
Yeah, the song about cocaine hippos. Yeah, I just think you can write about anything, as long as you make it catchy.
Yeah, well, you get your songwriting as therapy. Other people who can't sing, they end up with radio programs. Good morning, Mim.
You're quite right there, Harry. I think all you've got to do to catch someone is have that situation where your toe starts instantly tapping. So you've got to have, it's got to be a catchy tune, but then a lyric that you can remember and sing along with. I think that's the other important thing about any good song, and certainly the snake one works, and your other stuff, I imagine, for the same reason. If that's your starting purpose, I want my toe tapping and I want a story, then I guess by the time you've the number of songs you've written out probably comes relatively easy, does it?
Yeah. It's different each time, actually. Some songs take years. Honestly, they just boil in my head for years. Other songs just come at the drop of a hat. There's no exact science. I just try to have this philosophy that, you've got to have three things that stick in people's minds by the time they're finished listening. As long as you've got three things, it might be the beat, or it might be a catchy line, it might be the story, it might just be the title. As long as there's three things that stay in people's heads after they've finished listening to the song, you've done your job.
Guitar riff's another one. Are you good at that?
Yeah, I love guitar riffs. Yeah, yeah. I'm always noodling on my guitar. I play mainly acoustic, but I'm prone to a bit of electric from time to time. But yeah, you got to have a catchy guitar hook. Absolutely.
Yeah, that works beautifully.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that you said guitar hook, because I was going to say really what you need is a hook. I was going to use that, and you've just walked straight in and stomped on my joke. Harry, it's
Probably
great to
a
make
good thing actually for the listeners.
It's great to have made your acquaintance. We've only got a couple of members of the family we haven't interviewed now, so we'll get them organised at some point. No, we won't. Let's keep in touch so that when that new album comes out, we can play a couple of tracks and have a chat and be a bit more extensive than we've been able to this morning.
I'd love to. Thanks very much, lads. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Good on you,
Thanks,
buddy.
mate.
Best wishes.